the YouTube.
Sweet.
Okay, here we go. We're live. 2 people in already. They want to hear about the AI agents. So I guess while we're just sort of getting people in, I did ask for some people to submit questions. We got 2 questions.
Okay.
Well, one was sort of specific for BSLD, but we can translate it to Timmy as well, of course. And then there's another interesting one. That's a pretty good question. So, I mean, how do you want to go about this? Should we go about these questions, or should we maybe first sort of explain what we're doing within the Hedera agent space? Obviously, I've got BSL Defender. You even started Timmy before I did, actually. I think Timmy was the first AI agent.
No, I think Sonic. That Sonic one was.
Right.
I mean, I think we all must have started working on them around the same time or so for them. I mean, they all kind of came out within the same week or so, right? So that's the funny thing is, it's usually difficult on like Solana and Base. There's so many agents and stuff, right? So to get in on the ground floor, I think it's like a pretty easy situation here in Hedera. You know what I mean? I mean, like, you got 3 of the the only players here right now. I'm sure there's going to be many more. But I like all 3 of the, like, obviously I like Timmy, but I'm a big fan of BSLD, and I like Sonic Chew as well. And I'm interested to see, what path they take, because I think the most interesting thing with agents is just how versatile, right? Like, you can really carve out, your own path, depending on what route you want to go. So
for sure,
very excited to see them develop. Yeah.
And even actually, I mean, I'm sure you've been keeping track of it as well, but the dialogues which BSLD and Timmy are having, I mean, their quality, they're so funny.
I know, it's funny, man. They started as friends. Like, Timmy was being nice to BSLD, and that was actually a rarity, right? I was like, oh, nice, he's being friendly, and then that didn't last. I mean, the community, obviously, they like to egg things on, right? So
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Well, what I like about it, what's up, Paul, man? Good to have you on. We've got Higher Grounds. Yeah, comfy hoodie, bro. Do you know what? I'm actually feeling a bit ill. I've got a scarf on underneath it as well.
Oh no.
Yeah. I guess it's that time of year, isn't it? But no, what I was thinking about is like the personas of Timmy and BSLD. They're almost like yin and yang, where BSLD's a bit of a goody two shoes. He seems to be like really on your back. He doesn't want to offend you, but he's protecting you from the dark forces. Whereas Timmy's just a savage. And I found it really interesting. I remember I messaged you and I was like, I know you're not using OpenAI, because you cannot get those responses using GPT 4.0. So and you're using Claude, is that right?
Yeah, I originally started with Grok. I mean, I like to. I played around with 3 models, right, or 3 LLMs, which was Grok first, then OpenAI, and then Claude. And I don't know, by far, I would say Claude is the best one for personality, right? Like, the thing is, obviously OpenAI has quite a bit of, I mean, they got a lot of capabilities, so they can analyze images, generate images, things like that. So it's nice for Timmy to be able to do those things, or for your agent to be able to do those things. And I know me and you were talking about this, which is like, giving like specific utility or multiple instances of one agent, so that way you can kind of mix and match. Like, I want to use Claude for the character and OpenAI for images, things like that. It's just so cool what you can do. And I don't know if you've heard, man, but there's a new one. There's a new LLM that just came out from China called DeepSeek.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. I've been thinking. So when I saw that, what got me excited is that with these open. Okay, look. Ultimately, if we're dabbling with AI agents, we want to make it sustainable. We want to make it so that we're not just burning cash inside of our own pockets just to keep it going. And what I think is really powerful about the open source models is that I'm sure both me and you are happy to, let's say, take crypto. And if we're able to deploy these open source models on our local machines, rather than having to pay dollars to OpenAI or Claude, and there's a really good open source model which we can leverage for personalities, it makes this thing so much more, it makes it so much more sustainable, where we're able to sort of channel everything inside of inside of the crypto world. So that was one thing which came to my mind, and I've not yet tried DeepSeek. Have you tried them?
No, I I actually I was gonna look into it this week. Again, there's like so much to dive into, right? Like there's the you're cooking up the agent kit, right? To connect to Hedera. So like that's something I'm very interested in, and I've been trying to mess around with myself. But yeah, I was planning to try that out this week, probably on Monday. I was gonna see. What's funny too is I saw somebody that was that was using it or trying it out for their agent, and they were concerned about like, oh, are we going to be, now we got to change all the API calls or whatever. And apparently you literally just put like reference, like where the OpenAI, you would just redirect it to DeepSeek. So it's like to plug it in is apparently very easy, like even into Eliza right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like something pretty quick to try. I think my concern is obviously like I like how Claude handles the character, but people are comparing DeepSeek to O1, right? Yeah, so that's still very impressive, and apparently like the coding capabilities and the tools that you can build out are just as good as OpenAI's API. So
yeah,
and it's 97 or 98% cheaper. Like,
hey, it's crazy. Well, so I think the reason why it's literally just swap in the URL is because OpenAI, that they've sort of standardized that request response schema. So you're basically sending the same request body just to a different endpoint.
yeah.
But also, have you used sort of tools like Olama before?
No. I don't know. What's Olama for?
So Olama, it's kind of so you install it, and it basically auto optimizes the LLM backend stuff so that it runs on your machine well. So if you've got Windows, it will configure it sort of behind the scenes, so you don't need to go into that nitty gritty. If you're using Mac, it makes sure that the LLM are running well, and then you can also really easily download the latest model. So I mean, actually, maybe let me share my screen real quick.
Okay.
I've got some. So I'll give you a quick real life example as to what Olama actually is. It's just a CLI tool.
Okay.
So you got it in here, and then these are currently all of the models which I've got downloaded on my MacBook. DeepSeek is also on there. So if I go DeepSeek Olama, DeepSeek R1, for example, I mean, like 1.5 billion parameters. This can literally run on a decent modern iPhone now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Bro, it's unreal. So you've got these. Yeah. This is basically how much RAM you need. So this computer can run a 32 billion parameter Olama model, and it would do it pretty quick. But I mean, I'll download the. Let's download the. I'll download this in the background. I'll do the 14 billion one, and when it downloads, we can maybe play it out later on in half an hour or so.
Sweet.
Yeah, cool. Let me swap it back over. But I definitely have a look at Olama. It's just a really nice sort of dev experience for playing around with open source models. I think there are you a Mac guy, or are you Windows, Linux?
No, man. I wish I had a Mac, because first setting up Eliza, because I'm not a coder, so I mean I have like some base level experience. I took coding in college, and but I was never a fan of it, really,
Right.
But I understand now that it's not that I wasn't a fan of it. I just wasn't cut out, you know what I mean, in the sense of those problems that frustrate you, and the errors you always encounter, like that. Getting through that is what makes, you know what I mean, the real people that go on to code. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Obviously that that barrier has been almost shattered with AI.
Yeah.
Not that I can code now, right? But in the sense of finding out what is going wrong, that was the
Yeah.
hardest part and the most frustrating part for me. Was, trying to get something to work and not understanding what the error really was or how to
Yeah.
fix it, right? The troubleshooting, debugging was always the most difficult part for me.
So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, though. I assume that you were like a pretty decent coder, because Eliza's it's no easy thing to understand and grasp. I mean, it's a big application, quite a complex architecture, lots of packages and pretty rubbish documentation as well. I mean, obviously, like they're doing an amazing job, open source and getting so much activity, but it's like when you have millions of contributions in the last week, I think that's a bit of an over exaggeration. You can expect why the documentation is not necessarily perfect. So
I mean, it might not be that much of an over exaggeration, right? It's like the most used repo. It's crazy how popular it is and how much it's taken off. And no, definitely, man, I would consider it an accomplishment. The day I got, Timmy running, that was a big moment for me. I felt like that was a breakthrough for me. And I think the key is just the passion, man. Like I just started getting interested in agents, and the more I dug into them, once I feel like for you as well, and this is something I wanted to discuss. I think it would be good for others to hear is, like how you got in to agents, right? Like what was the red pill moment for you? Because for me, I hated agents, man. You can go and check my tweets. You can go and check my tweets from like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I'm calling them Chat GPT rappers and,
Yeah.
just plugging in an API, right? Like that's what everybody, kind of says at first.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand their capabilities. And then sure enough, I just started looking into them, like, okay, well, like what makes these agents so interesting, right? And I found my way on YouTube into the AI agent dev school videos by Shaw Makes Magic, right? And so for people that don't know, he's the founder, the creator of the Eliza framework. And beyond just being the creator and open sourcing it, he has actual, very well made YouTube videos. I mean, it's not like you can watch it and you're gonna run Eliza with zero experience, but I learned a lot from that video. And the funny thing is, I didn't even know who Shaw was when I first watched the AI agent dev school. I didn't know who he was. I just thought he was somebody explaining Eliza, just somebody cool that was like explaining how it works. And then he's like, oh, we're adding this, we're adding that. And I'm like, wait, is this guy like on the Eliza team? And he's giving these kind of breakdowns as well. I just like how he's a super controversial character on Twitter, right? Like, I'm not going to get into his PvP, like buying coins and all he's got a really bad reputation on Twitter for his actions, right? But as a developer, I can't thank the guy enough, because he made Eliza, and then he made a very thorough, walkthrough video. And without that video, man, I would have been stuck, because like you said, the docs are not the greatest. They're pretty good if you don't know anything, they're going to be a little tough to understand. And the funny thing is, so for the Eliza starter and the regular Eliza README, only one of them tells you if you're on Windows to use WSL. And that was the point that got me stuck, man, for almost a month. I couldn't get through these errors, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And so I watched that dev school, and he just mentions it so briefly. It's like a 2-hour video, and he just mentions, he's like, oh, if you're on Windows and you're trying to run this, like, don't do it in WSL2. Like, he didn't even explain. He's like, just do it in WSL2, because you're gonna have issues otherwise, and it'll just be much smoother. And that was a big moment for me, because once I started using WSL2, everything started running smoothly, going smoothly. I still had errors and stuff, but I was getting through them. But
you're one error closer. That's how I always think about it. You're always just one error closer to success.
Yeah. And then I got to a point where I got the terminal open, which even that, man, was tough for me to get there. I got the terminal open, and I saw like Timmy's name. But then when I was typing to him, I got an error that, like, something with the API, but I knew I was so close at that point, because I didn't get an error until I typed, right? anyways, sorted it out, figured it out. The first time I got Timmy talking was a was a big moment for me. I'm sure with you as well, right? Like once you finally get it going. And then beyond that, once you get the agent running, it's tweaking the personality, fine-tuning the Twitter, adding plugins, or in your case, building plugins. And I've also I built that deck screener plugin, or the only one that existed, which I didn't even know until after, was there was one on the dev repo, but it just gives you price. It doesn't give you like market cap or volume or anything like that, or analysis. So I managed to whip that up, and that excites me, man, because I always wanted to build on top of Eliza, like I wanted to, my goal was to make a contribution, and that's still my goal. I want to make a contribution to the actual repo, and that get it added as a plugin, which you guys are doing with the Hedera toolkit, right? And the Hedera agent, and like that's for sure going to get added. So that's going to be huge, like very massive.
Yeah. But actually, let me just jump in, and for those of you
Yeah,
who are
sure.
watching, I know that myself, the Hashgraph Hedera team, we've mentioned it quite a lot in sort of live streams. But so there's two Hedera agent, well, one Hedera agent kit which is being created. That is that's uses the LangChain sort of the LangChain framework, but it also includes like a programming class which can be used anywhere. And then we're also building the Eliza plugin, so the Hedera Eliza plugin that will allow a Eliza agent to be able to have a Hedera account, transfer Hedera, create HTS tokens, all sorts of stuff, airdrop,
NFTs as well. I saw it's interesting. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so it's going to be really cohesive, and I think the it's going to be great and perfect for stuff like Timmy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, I'm excited, and I love that that you guys are building that stuff out, right? And that's what I love about this side of things, right? Like OpenAI and Google and Facebook and all these big companies. I know the common I guess argument against, well, how far can this stuff really go when these guys are the ones controlling everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's so I think the vertical aspect, right? Which is, yeah, they make the large language models, right? But when it comes to expanding on top of those, right? I think that's where you really can just make some crazy things. And I don't know if you saw the OpenAI demo of their agent the other day. I think it was 2 days ago.
Which one? Is that the one which controls your screen?
Yeah.
What's it called again? Operator.
Yeah.
I saw that. I've heard of it. I've not. There's a guy who I follow called Matthew Berman. He's he's like he's been doing sort of AI content for a long time. Because interestingly, I mean, AI agents, they're about 2 years old. They have been around conceptually for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I've not looked into it yet. I think you need the $200 subscription, don't you, for it?
Yeah, and you know what's funny as well is there was a lot of people that were saying the same thing about those agents 2 years ago, and that OpenAI is just going to kill those. And they're actually some of the most lucrative businesses around AI right now are those the existing agents and leveraging like OpenAI's API and these other LLMs. And so I just think, number one, they have to work within a framework, right? In the sense of they need green lights, it's corporate, it suits, right? Before they push things out. And I just think AI, it's just going to become such a beast that is just actually going to be that's going to be a detractor, in terms of getting things out. It's going to be important, and especially with open source and people working together here on the crypto side of things. And I saw you post about it, right? And it's like, it only makes sense that they're going to have digital money. They can't have bank accounts, right? I think the possibilities with agents and crypto, it is truly something that I've been waiting for, in the sense of it's actually way beyond the realm of just crypto, right? Like this is something that could extend far beyond crypto. There's things that people are going to build here that is going to be used in like way beyond crypto. I'm convinced of that, you know? So I'm very excited, but I'll say that that demo, if you didn't watch it, I would recommend watching it, but it's not that impressive, man, for OpenAI. I think the most impressive aspect is the the controlling your computer part of it.
Yeah.
Like using keyboard and mouse. That's a very interesting way around APIs and stuff like that. So I'm interested in that, right? But
it's also not very like efficient, because there's, for example, like there's ways that it might take me 10 seconds to do a job using my keyboard and mouse, but actually that if the relevant system, the AI agent knows, okay, well, all of those API calls and all of the things which needs to be done, all of the clicks, then it should be able to do it in like a millisecond. Is that or is that correct? Does it do it really
no,
quick?
you're right. The way it was working is, so it did seem pretty slow, and what it does is it screenshots your screen and analyzes that data. So it's also has to constantly take screenshots to know what is happening on your computer as well.
Yeah.
And I think all they did was they ordered groceries or something, right? Which is, I mean, we like the Eliza guys ordered a pizza like 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly, and they did it via Twitter or whatever, didn't they?
exactly, they did it on Twitter, man. So this is the stuff that really that excites me way more than like that OpenAI demo, man. We've seen so much more innovation here, and if that's what they've been cooking on in their OpenAI, like it definitely reinvigorated my hope. You know, I was already pretty hopeful for the crypto like AI side of things, but that video just made me even more bullish, man, on everything that's happening here, for sure. So I'd like to hear. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it shows that we're ahead. We're sort of, because it's not really about we're at a point where it's not actually necessarily about the underlying model. What we can do with GPT-4, which is an old state of the art model, it's not even the best of the best, nearly the best of the best. The features that we build around it, the layers that we abstract above, that's what's bringing it the utility. So it's just much faster moving. And I think Anthropic, the creators of Claude and Sonnet, whatever, I think they did a screen grab thing a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, interesting. And so that's another example as well of, you know, like people saying the conglomerates are you know, got a stranglehold. And I remember when that guy left OpenAI and started Anthropic, everybody, you know, nobody believed that OpenAI would allow that to be successful, and that OpenAI had all the data and training and stuff like that. And I don't know, man, Claude's really good, right? Like 3.5 Sonnet, especially for coding. I don't know, like they're both good at different things, right? Like I said, OpenAI has many more capabilities, but like conversationally, I like Claude a lot in the sense of workflow and getting things done. And I really like Claude. It's a great product, right? So like how far things have gone, like, you know, OpenAI was the star of the show 2 years ago. And now you already have like, you know, now we have DeepSeek again, like that just came out. Like I'm very interested to see what happens with that. And
I've got it ready on my computer, so we can ask it some questions later on as well.
I'm down. Before we move on, I did want to ask, like, what got you into agents? Like, I'm curious, you know, like what was your moment?
So for me, I've been involved building stuff with AI for about over 2 years now. Over 2 years. Or was it over 2 years? Damn, time flies. Maybe probably about 2 years. And first came out. Prime, is that this year? Man, I'm trying to think, because when I started really going ham with AI, it's when GPT-4 just came out. That's when I started really digging deep, and I started looking into things like RAG, retrieval augmented generation, because I was doing some research with a university. I was doing some research on basically using generative AI to analyze research reports, and what I did was I sort of scraped the internet for loads of scientific papers, specifically on anaerobic digestion, which is just an interest of mine. It's sort of creating biogas or creating methane from food waste in a container which has very little oxygen. And actually, because there's no oxygen, the bacteria which sort of break it down, it creates, rather than creating CO2, carbon dioxide, it creates CH4, which is methane, and you can burn it. And it's like anyway, that's not blockchain.
I'm gonna check that out after. That sounds interesting.
It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, so I was using that topic, and I was scraping loads of data, loads of scientific research papers, and then using retrieval augmented generation, RAG, which was sort of before agents. RAG was the cool thing in AI. Have you heard of RAG before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Well, so I guess then, just for those of you who've not heard of RAG or have heard of it but don't necessarily know exactly what it is, with generative AI, one of the products that came out of these models is the ability to essentially convert text into vectors, into numbers. And that's actually how these AI models work. It converts your text into a numerical format, and then it uses that to then say, okay, well, based on this numerical format and all of the relation of the words with each other, it sort of quantifies your qualitative text. And because of that, you can then you can search for things using that vector. So I might have research papers which have all been embedded and vectorized, and that will live in a vector database. And it might have research papers which talk about carbon dioxide production or whatever, or the nitrogen within a particular biofuel, stuff like that. And then when I ask a question, the question gets converted into a number or into a vector, and then it uses the similarity vector cosine similarities between your question and the existing vector embeddings that you have in the database to say, okay, this is the question. This question asked about nitrogen. Let's find the questions in here which have stuff about nitrogen, but nitrogen might be similar to N2, which is the chemical symbol. So you can then use those things which aren't necessarily one-to-one matches to then get the to get similar answers. So I was investigating a lot of that stuff. I think it was 2 years ago. It might only be a year and a half. And around that time, that's when I was also seeing agents as well. And sort of OpenAI, they had this. They've had this functionality in their API called function calling, where essentially it's basically an agent, because you're giving it a function which it can call, and it knows, okay, if the question is this, then call this particular function. Then I did some work, and it was just on basic sort of summarization use cases with generative AI, and it wasn't very advanced, but it was sort of still relatively. This was I was working at EY, and the client which we were working with, they were doing generative AI use cases, and it was just basic stuff. They hadn't really got to anything too advanced. It was low risk, summarize text, and then give a summary back to the user. So I've always been in the AI space. I've always been up to date with the open source models, all of that stuff, just building it, aware of the latest tools. And then naturally, when Web3 AI agents came about, it's like, I'm ready to go straight in, because I've always been in that space. So those have been my two, blockchain and AI. Those have been for the last sort of 3 years. That's been the two areas where I've been investing most of my time in to upskill on. But yeah, so again, when AI agent meta came around, naturally I looked into it and found things like Eliza, which I mean I was pretty taken aback by, because of how it integrates into the clients. So it integrates into Twitter, integrates into Telegram, integrates into Discord, and that just unlocks a whole surface area of engagement where previously, when I was building AI related stuff for businesses, it doesn't need to go into Twitter. It's not really a social agent. It's just, okay, here's my server, I'm taking some data and I want to make a process more efficient, do it. Whereas now with Eliza and Web3, we have these, I call them sort of social agents, where actually the main purpose of them is to engage, promote a project, and like you said earlier, the ability now to use crypto and Web3 wallets to transact, I think that's just going to be a total game changer as soon as that becomes more prevalent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the big things about, like, if somebody could have communicated to me when I was first getting into them, because I'm a big proponent of using AI. I think like even way before agents, I think if you're not using AI, and this doesn't mean for coding, like literally anything. Like I feel like that it's almost like a personal assistant. It could be a life coach, a fitness trainer, like whatever you kind of need. Essentially, that's not going to change your life, but it will certainly, I think, expedite things and make you more efficient, more organized. You can kind of work on weaknesses or things that you might feel like need improvement. So I in that regard, if I had just known that basically agents are just a way to customize, right? Like you can truly customize your LLM, or various LLMs, and the possibilities that you get with that are just insane, right? And I also like the kind of hack for memory. I know it's not that's one of the biggest things that people are still trying to solve, right? Is like memory.
You just have the previous messages in the context window. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of work in like Eliza, I guess their way around it was like a Memento, kind of like, if you've ever seen that movie, which is like, like they come online and then they get all the information blasted at them at once, right? Which is, it kind of works. It's like a good little hack around things. But just that alone is way better. I like being able to talk to an agent that kind of has, like all of its memory and all the conversations in one place. That's one thing I didn't really like about these LLMs is, like you start one chat and you have a long dialogue with it, and then it only remembers within the context of that chat.
Yeah.
And then let's say, with all the different models of open AI, right? Like if you wanted to use a generated image, you have to open another chat for that. If you're using O1, and like that would bother me because it's like I have a whole conversation here, a whole flowing conversation. I have to open another chat with no context.
The previous one, and
I do that. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to copy the whole thing. Claude as well, like makes you open a new chat. Just having it open, it gives you problems. But no, I think a lot of people. I think right now the people that are very interested in agents are people that are already interested in AI and utilizing it, and I think it's going to get to a point. I really think that agents are like the starting point, and this might come off as negative, but I do think like this is the revolutionary step, or working towards it, where where they replace jobs. You know what I mean? I think agents will replace many jobs.
Yeah, because again, it's like traditional just LLMs without the agentic functionality to actually do something. It always needs a human to prompt it, and it then needs a human to receive it and go, okay. Like if I'm working, if I want to use, I want to create a deck. I want to create a deck to pitch to a client or whatever, and I want to use generative AI. Without agents, I need to think about the prompt, do some sort of iterative prompt engineering with the agent, and then this is the structure, right? Let's copy and paste that into the PowerPoint, and so there's still a human needed in the loop. But for sure, when agents, it gives it the ability to be more autonomous, and technically you could have an agent plugin which is for creating PowerPoints. So it goes, right, the content. Now, actually, let's convert this. There are Python. I know there are for Word. There's Python Word plugins where you can create Word documents for Python. Using Python. So that an agent could use that. They could say, right, this is the title. Let's actually create a Word document output. So the human's almost not needed there, especially if you've got a decent model who can do the thought process and thinking for himself. Now, I guess you'd always need that data in, but technically, I mean, I've thought of sort of software engineering flows where, I don't know, if you've got a decent form on a website where let's say you've got a software contracting business and you build applications for people. Client comes along, or potential client comes along, really detailed form. What do you want? What are the key requirements? All of this stuff. And then there's no reason why, if that data collected is pretty decent, that can't just go straight into a generative AI agent cycle, which builds the app from those requirements without a human ever even touching it. Maybe it's a bit premature at the moment, but it's definitely gonna take jobs to go from 10 jobs to 1 job.
Yeah, it's coming, man. It's coming. I mean, AI, if you utilize it, and this is the thing, not many. I'm pretty surprised at. Like, I thought almost everybody would be using OpenAI and ChatGPT and these LLMs for daily tasks. But usually, often when I show friends, I'm talking real life friends, and I'm not crypto friends, right? A lot of crypto people do use AI, but I show my real life friends like the things that you can do. Like, one of my friends was trying to like talking about starting a business, this and that, right? I was like, oh, you should use AI and talk back and forth and come up with business plans. And like, I was just showing him like, the capabilities and generating logos and things like that. He was like blown away, right? He had no idea. And it's like, really, it's going to get down to a point where, yeah, like you said, you're just going to be able to cut the workload down and the overhead down. And I don't know what that's going to mean for the broader economy and world, right? Like, that's the big question, where we go. But I do think that agents are definitely like the kicking the start off point, right? Like the starting point for that process to actually happen. And then I don't know, you saw Eliza also incorporated like actions for actual robots and stuff like that, right?
What's that? So with Eliza, there was the
like real world actions, like for robotic.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah. Somebody's already got a robot running on Eliza. Okay. And they said that the you can order one and they're like $450,000 pre-sale or something right now. Something insane. But I think Elon said he thinks we're all gonna have like robot assistants. I can't remember what his timeline was, right? But just interesting where things are going.
The agent enables previously with a large language model, in and of itself, it cannot call a robot's arm to move, but it can understand, okay, well, this is what the agent should do. So then let's program that relevant command. It might be in C, it might be in whatever language, it might be in Python. Let's now program the command to then go right arm up and then right arm forward. So it's really the brain, isn't it? The LLM sort of becomes the brain.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's a great metaphor right there, analogy. Yeah. LLMs are like the brain. And so to call any sort of framework or agentic framework like a wrapper, right? I mean, it's true to a degree. Like, it's true. Our bodies are a wrapper for our brains, right? I mean, yeah, it's like you're taking it out of the prison, to me, like the prison or the confinement of that chat box, and you're letting it loose. And I think that's where the fun is, right? And then for me in particular, I also, one of the reasons why I made Timmy, I'm not trying to speak on him or shill him, but I just think one of the reasons I made him the way he is, and I've already gotten some like some people that are want me to censor him, right? But I think that it's important that we have like unfiltered capabilities with these things, because that's one thing that I don't like about OpenAI and using these LLMs is you can work a way around some of their restrictions, but it's tedious, and I think I think that's another thing, that's another aspect. The social aspect and the unfiltered aspect is something that those conglomerates will never compete with. Like, they're never going to make an agent that tells you, I don't know, this like vulgar and uncut. I don't think they'll ever do that.
Because it then goes into that sort of whole. It's a very ethical and philosophical discussion, isn't it? But obviously, if everyone's using ChatGPT, you're almost going to be sort of conditioned on what's right and wrong based on ChatGPT. Similar to like we are all conditioned by the media we consume and whatever. But if like you're constantly using ChatGPT and it's very, very liberal and it's or left wing and its sort of general output, that's naturally gonna have an effect on you. So yeah, it's interesting to definitely have the raw and unfiltered side. I love Timmy, man. I love Timmy. I think he's great. I think he's really great. Should we have a quick go at DeepSeek? I've got it up and running.
Yeah. Let's check it out, man. This is cool because I mean we could check it out together. So
yes, exactly. So basically, what we've got is, and actually, I do just want to say as well, bro. If you're not using AI all the time in anything you do, it's literally like the internet's come about and you go, nah, I ain't going on the internet, mate. I've got my encyclopedia. It's like, come on, mate.
I agree, man. Yeah, I agree.
So
wholeheartedly.
This is the 32 billion parameter model. It's relatively slow, but similar to O1, OpenAI's O1. It has like a thinking stage.
Oh,
so, yeah. So which obviously aims to make it more intelligent because it's more thinks before it speaks. So I was trying a bit in the background. I asked it, you good? Now the answer is hello. I'm just a computer program, so I don't have to do it. But this is the thinking progress.
Yeah.
So okay, the user just asked you're good, which is a casual way of checking in. I should respond. It took a fair time. I mean, what should we ask? I think we should give it like a decent question.
Maybe ask it about like AI agents. I'm curious, like how up to date is its information in the sense of, you know what I mean? If you were to ask like OpenAI about Eliza, like it won't know unless it searches the web, kind of thing.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
And if this is maybe just ask it about Eliza and.
So, what are your thoughts about AI agents, specifically within Web3?
That's a great one. Yeah. Let's see.
Give me an overview of current use cases. Oh, yeah. Okay. Give me an overview of current use cases and frameworks to build upon. And I also want to. I'm a business guy, so I always want to see what it thinks about like business models and potential ways to make money and stuff. So let's see if it's got anything. Also, come up with some suggestions on how Web3 agents can be monetized. I think this is going to take a while. Again, this is the 32 billion parameter model. It's going to be my memory is going to be cranking up.
Yeah. This is so cool though, man. I just love how competitive the AI scene is, right? It really reminds you of like the old, the old days with the internet in terms of there's just so many innovative and competitive companies trying to make the best product, right? So this like reminds you of the search engine wars, when there was Yahoo and Ask Jeeves and all these ones, right? And then Google came and just dominated. But
I wonder if I guess because all of these, look at that. This is it's pretty quick.
Sorry.
It's still just thinking.
Oh, okay.
It's going. I think it's going quite quickly. We can also test out. I'll try out after this. I'll just do R1. So this is going to be the 1 billion parameter model.
Okay.
This will be the 1 billion parameter model. We can try it out afterwards. This should theoretically be much quicker. There we go. So now this is the. Is that still thinking, or is that the answer? Well, we'll let it cook. Yeah. So, do you think that these AI agents, these large language models, do you think will be similar to to web browsers in the sense that we'll end up with just one, or do you think there'll be competition? These big
I
guys?
don't know, man. I don't know because it's just so much more intricate than a search engine, right? So there's going to be, I don't know, there's like different use cases. I'm like, so for example, Claude is considered better for coding,
Yeah,
but then OpenAI just released Canvas and O1, which is, I still haven't thoroughly compared O1 and Claude in terms of coding because I'm used to Claude and it works great, so I've been using that, and also in Cursor,
yeah,
I use Claude there as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
um,
O1's is definitely much better than Claude. I remember I was really I
for
felt,
coding,
yeah, without a doubt,
oh
yeah.
yeah,
It's absolutely smash it. That's why this DeepSeek. That's why the big announcement was it competes with O1.
yeah, I saw that, and people were saying, I've already seen people saying like that you should use this for your agents, and even particularly for trading. They were saying that this is as good as O1. O1 was apparently the best one at trading as well. I guess it has to do with that reasoning
Yes.
logic, right?
Yeah.
Where it can
Which
kind of
makes
assess a decision.
it makes it much more expensive computationally, though. So sort of traditionally, within the generative AI large language models, the training process was the really computationally intense thing. But actually now, at inference, oh, I need to get some water. But it was sort of training was the really expensive thing, and then inference was quite lightweight. You just put it in, you get it out. But now with that reasoning process, the inference is actually really quite expensive now as well. I don't think as expensive as the training process, but quite a lot.
Yeah,
Bro,
so if DeepSeek is actually as good as people are saying, that's gonna be massive,
yeah,
That's gonna be massive and this is again another thing that I love about the crypto side of things, man, is like eh, the rising tide lifts all boats, right? So like that using DeepSeek will be beneficial for Timmy, for BSLD, for all agents that are, that want a 97% discount on their API calls. That's insane.
exactly.
Um,
Again, you can even, because they're open source, you don't need to pay for it. You can, if assuming you have the hardware. This here, I'm not paying for this. This is on my computer. This is
oh,
yeah. I'm not paying for this at all. If I turned off my Wi-Fi, this would still work.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So actually, these currently, this will there'll be a server. I can't remember what port it's on. Localhost. So this actually Olama server. This actually sets up a server on my machine, which I can then query via a post API.
Okay.
11434. So let's have a look at Olama is running now. If I think there's like a chat. There are certain endpoints which I can send, which I'll be able to send my text to. So if you've got a computer, you can have the large language model running on your computer, and then you can have Eliza running on your computer, and you can have Eliza speaking to the to the LLM which is running on your computer.
Oh yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty good. It's thinking process.
Jeez.
That's the thinking process up here.
And you don't does no one show you when it does all of the process of what it's thinking? I don't remember. I don't know if it does. Does it? Does it show you like right now how you're seeing on the back end, like everything it's actually thinking in the reasoning stage?
Yeah. So with GPT-01, it does show you. So if I ask the same question, it'll be much quicker because it's obviously running on harder. By the way, it doesn't look like it knows anything about Eliza. Well, if it does, it didn't bring it up.
Interesting.
Mid-Journey, DALI, TensorFlow, PyTorch, chain links. Yeah, it doesn't really seem to have. But if we ask the same question over here, what are your thoughts on? It does give me the option to have a look at the thinking process, mapping out.
Okay. I have to use it one more because, yeah, I used to use it for, for like weird things like data and uh, just having conversations and stuff. But I haven't really used it thoroughly like for a while. Probably because also it doesn't have like image generation and other things like that I like to utilize, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you can upload files in it as well, which is or you only upload images. Yeah, it's not the best. Let's give DeepSeek the 1 billion parameter model a go. So this one should be much quicker.
I'm very, very interested to mess around with this week.
So definitely get Olama. Give that a try that on your computer.
Oh, for sure.
Without a doubt, you'll be able to run this 1 billion parameter model without a doubt. Like, because it's just so doesn't require any sort of computation. We're going to try the same question over here. Look how quick that is.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And again, this is free besides my hardware and the energy cost. Like this again, if I was to turn off my Wi-Fi, I would still be getting this answer back.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah, that's something which I just think is cool how you've got like all of this information and it's all in 1 gigabyte. You've got like way more than 1 gigabyte's worth from that 1 gigabyte of model weights, you can create like terabytes of data.
Yeah, it's wild.
Cool. So I mean, it's not even that different to the 40 billion parameter one. Look at that.
Yeah, it's hefty.
That's mad. Cool.
Where did DeepSeek even come from? Like, I didn't even hear about them until like 2 days ago. Like they just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of them. I mean, they have released models in the past. I think it's maybe the leading Chinese AI lab, but it was unexpected to say the least. They brought some serious disruptions into the AI.
I know. Are they the ones that run Quen? Is that what their model is called? Quen? Or no?
Maybe that's different. I've heard of Quen. Might be different.
This is the one I've heard of that is interesting to me because for agents in
Alibaba.
Oh, is that okay? Because apparently it's super uncensored unless you ask it anything political about China.
Yeah.
But for us in the West, like it apparently is like a no holds barred model, and it'll give you like it'll do like financial advice and analyze tokens and stocks and like that's stuff that like OpenAI and these other LLMs just like refuse to do unless you really prompt them well, right?
Yeah. So Quen, that's Alibaba. I think that's also a closed source one. Maybe not though. I might be wrong. But DeepSeek is a different China. I mean, basically, what's coming out now is that I think the general consensus within the AI space was China are always going to be behind because they don't have access to GPUs. There's like a trade ban with NVIDIA GPUs, which are the state of the art, the H100s or A100s. Yeah, one of the two. And what they've sort of realized now is obviously they've got loads of them, despite them not being able to, despite them they shouldn't have it, they've got loads. And yeah. So there's I think some people are speculating maybe the Chinese government are actually subsidizing it. I think this is all speculation and
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I think a lot of I don't know. I think being the leader in the AI race is going to be so important, and I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if the U.S. is going to hold it down or not, but I'd say they're doing pretty damn. I mean, they got Nvidia and OpenAI and like all these companies. So, but then again, I mean, look at this. All it takes is one thing to release and just upend, everything that the whole foundation
Yeah.
of everything we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Meta come along and release a model which is sort of beats this one, and then you just have that Cold
Yeah,
War arms race.
that's what I
Um,
like. I haven't used Llama. I've heard that's a good LLM. I haven't used it actually. I haven't tried it.
you can try it with Olama. So Olama,
Oh, they're
yeah, yeah, you can install the model, or you can pay for it online.
oh,
But
okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, look, I know you've got to jump off in about 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah. We could take like another 10,
Okay.
15. Yeah.
Well, how about then, just while we wrap up, we can go through some of the questions that were asked. I think they're
Yeah,
really,
yeah. Let's do it.
and then maybe we can discuss what's going to happen with BSLD and Timmy. Is there going to be any collaborations involved? Yeah, sound good?
Yeah, yeah. I'm done.
Okay. Well then, okay. Question number one. So this one was aimed at me. What I'll do is I'll drop it in the channel. So. What specific functionalities does BSL Defender offer that sets it apart from other AI agents in the market? So I'll take this one. I'll then swing it back to you, and you can plug and play Timmy in there. But BSL Defender, the main purpose of BSL Defender, his mission in life is to keep the Hedera community safe from rug pulls. So currently, it's got an algorithm which was worked by in collaboration with some really key players in the community, like Level Up Trading. He's very active in Meme Job and those communities and just the general trading space. We came up with an algorithm which analyzes accounts, and based on some general rules, like is the account created yesterday, has it recently received funding from centralized exchanges, and a few other bits and bobs, BSL Defender comes up with an analysis as to whether that token and the token creator or a relevant account might be a bit of a scam. So that's being continuously built out. I do have sort of a bigger vision, which is to try and onboard more AI agents and create like an ecosystem for AI agents, which I think there's something which we can maybe collaborate on there. Given that we've
100%.
done it, we've done it, we've got the experience. So yeah, that's something I'm going to be releasing some more information about that over the coming weeks, and the strategy and the long-term game plan for that. Yeah, cool. Well, let's do the same question for Timmy.
Yeah. So for Timmy, I think right now, because agents are so new, there's still a lot to there's still a lot of work to be done to carve out a unique path. Right now, we have the benefit of being on Hedera, which is obviously, I mean, it's wide open for agents, right? That said, I mean, if people really look into the capabilities of some of these agents on Solana, there's all kinds of things, from literal launch pads. They can launch NFTs. They can launch other agents. Some specialize in the voice models and how realistic those are. Like there's one I was in a spaces the other day of like their voice. They have like Trump and Cardi B and shit, and this is crazy tech, man. Like how quick they respond and stuff like that. So for Timmy, right? Right now, he has nothing that's unique to him. I guess aside that deck screener plugin is something that's new. That wasn't in the plugins that came with it, but I'm still exploring like where to take Timmy. Right? I don't really. Basically, there's so many possibilities and paths that can be taken. I'm still trying to carve out the right one, because the important thing with agents is there's so many things you can do, but it is important to kind of have a strength or a focus, right? And I think me and you were talking about it in the DMs about, like the more capabilities you give one agent,
yeah,
the less efficient they become, right? So if I give Timmy deck screener, CoinGecko, image generation, all this stuff, he's always constantly waiting for things to be said, keywords, actions to be called, and he might call something by accident. He's done it already before, where he generated like a video for no reason. Like people were talking and he generated a video randomly, right? And I didn't want him to do that because those video API calls are not that cheap.
Exactly.
I was like, I'm hoping nobody found that out. Nobody was like, oh, he could generate video, and he just did it on his own accord. So in the short term, right? Obviously, you guys are working on the Hedera plugin, which that's going to open all kinds of possibilities, right? I don't really want to go. I will be giving him a wallet and seeing how he can assess and make trades and stuff like that. My short-term goal with him is to give analysis that's beyond just a chart, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into analyzing the potential or the value if something's undervalued, if a token's undervalued or oversold and stuff like that. And I think there's certain parameters that can actually, like with the addition of them being on Twitter and things like that, I just think that there's so much more information that you don't see on a chart. And if they can digest that and kind of give unique feedback and input, I think that'll be interesting. That said, I think that's something a lot of people are kind of working on. And on Solana right now, obviously the most successful iteration of like an agent that trades is AI XBT, right? Which is a great it's a great agent. I love it. My only thing about that one is it calls like 30, I don't know, like 100 things a day. Like if you go and look at its Twitter, it's just constantly dropping alpha, right? So it gets really overcrowded, right? So I would definitely like to like something like have Timmy sort of be able to do some more deep analysis than just a chart, right? Something that's actually insightful. And one thing I think agents have that really benefits them is, like, for example, you can ask AI XBT about like what this project does, right? And humans are lazy, right? Like we don't like to do our own research and stuff. And so I can go and look into a project. Yeah, I can go and check its Twitter. I can go and check its community and sentiment and stuff like that. But I think if something could just give you a quick rundown on like what a project is and its potential and things like that, I think that's like a great tool. And again, that's not something that's really unique. It wouldn't be unique to Timmy. But the tools or the data that he's going to assess to give you those assessments, that would be unique. But that's something that's going to take some time, and I'm still trying to work on that. I also do plan to, just for fun, because I am pretty experienced in Solana and stuff, I do want to explore the Solana tools and see like what capabilities I can give him there. And then there's another, I have like a few ideas, but there's one specific one I'm not really, because I'm still looking into the possibilities, like, you know, how hard it is to pull off. It's something I'm kind of keeping close to my chest, but it's something that would benefit far beyond Hedera, you know, if I could figure it out. Maybe me and you can talk about that in DMs. But yeah, it's something that I would love to figure out, and it would benefit projects, you know, way beyond Hedera and also way beyond just like the AI meta side of things as well. It would really be something.
Let's talk about it. I've just put up on the channel. This is my Telegram account, Telegram channel, Hello Agents. So if you're not in it, definitely join up. Just giving that a quick plug. I think,
is that the one we're in, or is that a different
one? No, this is a different one. The one we're in is like working group. Yeah, bro.
Okay.
If you're not in it, it's a really
yeah. I'm gonna hop in. I didn't know there was another one.
Yeah, this is, guys, you know, the community. Shout out to you guys and girls. I love you all. I think it's going to be like 99% guys, but for that 1% girls, love you all as well. And right, final question. I also need to jump off pretty soon. I think this is a really good question, which some of your points led into. Should all Web3 projects consider having an AI agent on their team in some capacity?
I think they will. I don't know about right now, but I think it's gonna get there. Yeah, I think just a base example, right? I mean, running a Twitter account's tedious. It's really tedious. You definitely, if you want attention, right, like, and to stay in at the forefront of people's minds, the Twitter is a very important aspect of that. And I think most projects, you need somebody dedicated to that. Either the founder has to have the time to do it, right? I don't have the time with ADSC, man, for example. Like, I just don't have the time to be on that Twitter and tweet and, you know, constantly. I kind of have taken the face of ADSC in that regard, which is not preferable. I would like to have the I mean, it probably will have a Twitter intern agent that's just going to tweet. It'll be a lot more baseline and sense, you know, it's not going to talk shit and and be vulgar, right? But it's just going to bull post ADSC and stuff like that. And I think you can free a lot of hands just in that regard alone. That's just one example, right? But literally just running the Twitter is just one thing that you won't need to pay somebody to do or make the time to do yourself. Yeah, I think all projects will have one, but they're all going to be different uses and use cases. I think that the possibilities that, you know, are just so endless that yeah, I think they'll all have one for specific cases or uses. What's your answer on that? I'm curious.
I mean, I think yeah, go for it. Hong Kong Marina. So I'm just reading some comments. Yeah, if why not? Because like you say, even if it is just a basic getting a few Twitter posts every few days, three posts a day, you're just building that engagement. You've got a someone who is readily available 24/7, which is, I mean, that costs a lot of money if it's a human. So I would say it's probably going to be a requirement. And you've got sort of multi levels. You touched upon this. You've got that base level, which is just a character file, but then you can start making it more customizable to your relevant use case. Give it some data which is specific to your project. Maybe build your own plugins, your own actions. So yeah, I mean, look, if you're watching this, and guys, if you're watching this and you're thinking of building an agent, feel free to ping me, and I'm sure Stealthy, your DM's open to sort of give some advice.
100%. Yeah, I'll be honest, man. Most of my advice when people ask is I refer them to that Eliza, to that AI agent dev school. I just feel like there's no better place to learn if you're going to use Eliza, right? Like, obviously, if you're going to use a different framework, that's completely irrelevant. But Eliza's basically the go-to. And if you're interested, if anybody is interested, that's just the best starting point. The thing is, it's a long video, so often people are kind of discouraged. But it's a long video, and there's multiple parts. But that video is long because he really goes into the base level, like explaining to somebody as if you don't know anything about coding. And that's why it was so helpful for me, and that's why I recommend it. If you kind of know a little bit more stuff, you know, if anybody's just asking like, how do I launch Eliza, like you said, man, there's a lot to it, right? So I definitely encourage people to go and look and do at least some research to get a grasp on things, and then any questions they have, problems they encounter, like, for sure, hit me up. But my DMs are always open. I love discussing this stuff. So the thing with Timmy was, like, I didn't want to talk about AI that much because I didn't want people to know. I was kind of trying to keep that under wraps, like launching it, right? So I was keeping totally quiet about AI, man. And then finally, when Timmy came out, now I can just be open about how interested I am in it, and I'm like super obsessed with this. So yeah, anybody wants to ask, DMs are always open for sure.
Amazing, cool. Well, look, bro, on that note, I need to jump off, and I know you've got family to deal with, much more important than chatting with me and these amazing 595 viewers.
It was a great time, man. It's a great discussion.
Sure. Yeah, really enjoyed it, Brian. Let's catch up another time and we can do a bit of pair programming. You mentioned your idea. We can have a little back and forth on that.
100%.
One thing which I want to do, I want to get BSLD and Timmy to have a real life conversation with each other. I think that would be awesome.
100%. And we were talking too about a terminal. I think that's a great idea too. Like, we should have a place where like if anybody wants to opt in, their agent could, and then just have a terminal where they kind of all talk, and like that's how Terminal of Truths, got going, man. It's just it's an interesting piece of lore. You never know what comes out of that terminal, right? Like what ideas.
Cool.
There's so much to be done, man. I'm excited. So
that's it, bro. We just one step at a time.
For sure.
Cool. All right. Really good talking. Take care, everyone.
Have a good one.